Meanwhile, everyone, I'm Megyn Kelly. Tonight, some 48 hours after we first learned Secretary Clinton conducted all, that's the critical part, all of her State Department business on a private email account that for years appears to have gone under the radar, Mrs. Clinton is staying quiet, not bothering to address the controversy at a gala in Washington where she appeared. But the White House cannot avoid the questions. And tonight we investigate new claims that Mrs. Clinton's behavior here may amount to a felony, and whether the White House can successfully claim that it has no responsibility here. We begin tonight with Ed Henry, our chief White House correspondent. Ed?
Good evening, Megyn. Bottom line is this is expanding beyond a campaign issue into a question of accountability for the White House, where spokesman Josh Earnest now for 2 days has gotten dozens of questions about what the White House knew and when they knew it. I pressed him today on whether the president and his aides knew Secretary Clinton had her own email server at home. He admitted he was not sure. Pressed on the president, claiming he's all about cybersecurity, and yet White House aides emailed Secretary Clinton on her personal account for 4 years without standing up and saying maybe she could get hacked by the Chinese or others. And then meanwhile, 7 different congressional committees investigated Benghazi, and Secretary Clinton did not turn over her emails, which is why Republican Trey Gowdy tonight has now subpoenaed Secretary Clinton for those emails. It's clear, at the very least, that Secretary Clinton violated the guidance, if not the law, that the White House has made clear to all the agencies and departments about keeping records and being transparent. Listen.
Why can't you have all these rules and laws? Why can't you just say she exercised poor judgment, even if you don't know if she broke the law? This is your guidance. It was not followed.
Yeah. Well, Ed, the question, and this was raised by Mike, is whether or not she was in compliance with the Federal Records Act. And in this case, again, if Secretary Clinton's team did what they said they did, then they would be in compliance with the Federal Records Act.
The key is where he said, if Secretary Clinton's team did what they said they did, which is turn over the large majority of her emails, then all is well. But he acknowledged multiple times, Josh Earnest, that the White House has not independently verified that, Megyn.
Right. So far, all we have is the word of the Clinton team. That's not how it's supposed to work. The federal agencies are supposed to have all these documents. They'll screen them. They'll take out the personal ones. Someone could be held accountable. Right now, it's just Hillary's people whose word upon which we apparently must rely. Ed, thank you.
Good to see you.
This goes much deeper than we thought it did. And we're going to get into this tonight. As we have mentioned, we're hearing serious questions now about whether Mrs. Clinton may have committed a felony by conducting all of her official government business on a private email account. It's not just the private email. You can have private email. It's what you do with the email thereafter that becomes the problem. You see, federal law makes it a crime punishable to up to 3 years in prison if someone has records and, quote, willfully and unlawfully conceals or destroys such records. Did she conceal those records for years when those 7 committees were demanding to see her personal correspondence, her professional correspondence? Moments before we came to air, I spoke to Fox News senior judicial analyst Judge Andrew Napolitano. So is she in trouble legally?
She's in a lot of trouble legally, and there's 2 sources of her trouble. One is if she retained on her personal email account using the Clinton server at her home or near her home in Chappaqua, New York, classified materials, classified documents, she arguably violated the same statute that General Petraeus has agreed that he will plead guilty to, which prohibits retaining classified information in a non-government, non-secured way. That's a misdemeanor. It's not a felony. There's no grand jury. There's no trial jury. But the punishment is up to